In this lesson, we're going to go over uses and abuses of percentages, part 2. Specifically, we'll apply our understanding of absolute and percent change to application problems, and we'll see different problem types to identify if we're talking about percent increase, decrease, percent longer, and we'll also talk about using absolute and relative change when we're given percents originally instead of just numbers. Okay, so as a quick review, absolute and relative change. Absolute change is always new minus old, or most recent minus previous. Relative change, percent increase, percent decrease, is the formula new minus old divided by old, which will give you the relative change as a decimal. You have to convert this to a percent. Okay? And remember that this formula spells no. Negative percent change means that something is decreasing versus positive percent change means that something is increasing. And we'll talk about negative percent change, particularly in the online homework. It's a little bit tricky with how they're wanting to describe it, so we'll talk about both ways. Example 1, person A's salary increased from $50,000 to $57,500 over a 3-year period. Person B's salary increased from $40,000 to $46,400 over the same time period. Whose salary increased more in absolute terms? So we see absolute, so we're going to be doing new minus old. So person A, we would take $57,500 minus $50,000, and this would be $7,500. Person B would be $46,400 minus $40,000 to give us $6,400. Okay. So in absolute terms, person A had the bigger increase. Okay. Part B, whose salary increased more in relative terms? We'll do the same thing. Our formula, again, is new minus old divided by old, which will give us relative change as a percent. So person A, $57,500 minus $50,000 divided by $50,000 gives us 0.15, which is a 15% increase. Person B, and we'll put this in the calculator. Uh, 0.16, which is a 16%. Okay, so in this case, in relative terms, person B had the higher increase. So something you want to be careful of with these problems, or not necessarily with these problems, but when you're talking about pay increases, is it more fair to increase by a specific number or by the same percentage for everyone? Okay. Relative change, so some new ideas. You can describe absolute change and relative change using percentages. This may also come in the form of percent longer versus percent shorter, which is another way of describing like an increase or a decrease in terms of a length of time. And so another way that you might have seen in your book or that my math lab will explain is that you can also think of relative or percent change as a compared value minus reference value over the reference value, which will again give you relative change as a decimal that you have to convert to a percent. Okay, so example 1, alcohol used by high school seniors in a certain state decreased from 48.6% in 2000 to 25.1% in 2015. So we'll use absolute change and we'll just describe it as a percentage point. So whereas before we would just get a number, in this case, since we're given percentages, our answer is going to end up as a percent. So we would take new or most recent minus old, and this would give us negative 23.5%. Okay. Describe the change as a relative change in terms of a percentage rounded to the nearest hundredths place. So we would take new minus old divided by old. And so 28.6, which would give us negative 0.48. So I went to 4 places because since we're rounding to the hundredths, you round, this should be 5. 39. Okay. 0.35 would cause the 5 to stay the same. So be careful here. This is negative 48.35%, but my MATLAB might already have decrease afterwards. So this could also mean 48.35 decrease. So don't double count the negative. If the software is putting decrease after the percent, don't put the negative in. It will mark it wrong. Example 2. The gestation period of humans is 266 days, which is blank percent longer, relative change, than the gestation period of rabbits, which is 31 days. So we're going to find the relative change rounded to the nearest whole percent. And again, this is where we can talk about compared value versus reference value. We're comparing the gestation period of humans to the gestation period of rabbits. So we would use our percent change formula, which would be 266 minus 31 divided by 31, which would be 7.58064, and so on. We convert to a percentage. Oops. Okay, and then round us to the nearest whole percent would be 758%. Okay, thank you for watching. If you have any additional questions, please feel free to reach out to me.